AI adoption is creating culture debt in organizations as speed takes priority over people. Deloitte's Nicole Scoble-Williams and Mark Teo explain what that looks like inside companies. Welcome, Nicole and Mark. Glad you can both join us today. But before I jump to the questions, Nick, would you like to give an overview regarding your report?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having us here. It is just fantastic to be able to talk about the report. AI is leveling the field, and technology alone is no longer what is defining competitive edge. It is the human advantage, which is the multiplier effect when we have human creativity, judgment, and adaptability amplified by AI. And in our 2026 report, we explore why organizations are standing at a tipping point right now where leaders need to make deliberate choices about that human advantage. We have 7 in 10 leaders saying that their focus for their competitive strategy right now is to be fast and nimble, and a recognition that hesitation in making these choices risks missed opportunity and lost advantage. And we see organizations wanting to be fast and wanting to stay nimble, but really struggling to be able to ensure that the human systems are in place that are needed to unlock that human advantage.
In Singapore, as what you said, Nicole, there's a lot of adoption where more than 2/3 of workers are already using AI. However, only a small fraction of them are actually using organizationally approved tools. In fact, there's a strong demand for AI engineers on nearly 5% of jobs, as reported by the Ministry of Manpower. But really, less than 2% of the workforce is qualified. And while productivity gains are rising, only 28% of organizations are redesigning work and roles around AI to reinvent their business. This means that the pattern is clear. Technology is advancing faster than the human systems needed to unlock the human advantage. And this is where culture becomes decisive.
But how can we spot this? What does culture debt look like inside organizations? Nick, would you like to answer first?
We talk about cultural debt as the hidden cost that organizations accumulate when the speed of change can't keep up with the human systems that are needed to be able to sustain the trust, the judgment, the norms, the purpose that define our culture. So we see urgency rise, we see values and behaviors start to drift, we see psychological safety start to erode. And if we neglect these human interactions and just leave them to chance,
we can already see early signs of cultural debt in Singapore. Nearly 80% of employees in Singapore experienced major organizational change last year. And as I mentioned, a large proportion, nearly 3/4 of the workers in Singapore already use AI tools at work. Yet, at the same time, nearly half of the workers in Singapore feel uncomfortable telling their supervisors and their managers that they use AI at work, often with some fear that they may be appearing incompetent, lazy, and nearly 2/3 of these workers actually have spent fewer than 5 hours learning how to use AI tools. This is a significant capability gap. And hence, once this cultural gap builds, culture stops amplifying the human advantage and becomes the constraint that quietly limits it.
And with a lot of things happening at the moment, that might get overwhelming. So, what are the most important cultural shifts leaders need to prioritize today?
The single most critical shift is to move focus from how people are using AI to how AI is impacting and reshaping those human interactions that define culture, that build the trust, the norms, the connection, the purpose. And many organizations seem to be underestimating the urgency. 57% of organizations tell us culture is really disrupting their organization right now. but only 5% believe that they are making progress addressing it. Even more concerning, 42% of workers say that their organizations are not even paying attention to how AI is impacting the organization culture and its people. And leaders are at the beginning and the end and the heart of the shifts that need to happen. This is mindset, behavior shifts, leaders intentionally shaping those human interactions with open, transparent communication and dialogue around if, where, how AI is going to be embraced. Employees are more than twice as likely to embrace AI in a meaningful and valuable way in their work if their leader is doing so themselves. So ultimately, culture is determining whether organizations can amplify the human advantage or whether it will accumulate the cultural debt that really becomes the barrier holding it back.
Those are really good points, Nick, on having open communications and having a role model. So let me also ask Mark, as experts on this topic, would you have other suggestions? What practical steps can companies take to build a culture that supports human AI collaboration?
Leading organizations don't leave culture to chance. They design it as the engine of adaptivity that allows them to move fast, innovate, and navigate disruption without losing trust. Organizations need to invest in workforce capability. In Singapore, more than 2/3 of firms plan to prioritize AI training and upskilling for employees in the next 1-2 years. Next, we must use AI to reinforce the human connection and cultural values. We need to redesign roles around human AI collaboration rather than just simple automation. Clearly distinguish which traditional tasks should remain human-led, which can be AI-assisted or AI-augmented, and which can be fully AI-powered. Then we redesign the roles and workflows around that reality.
I'd say a third really key shift that we are seeing leading organizations take is redesigning work and the talent expectations so that AI really becomes embedded as a core capability for how we work, how we bring contribution and impact, how performance is evaluated, encouraged, nurtured. And so when you bring all of these moves together individually and collectively, we really do see that in this AI age, the advantage is going to belong to those that intentionally design the human systems to amplify that human advantage. As we said earlier, AI levels the field, but choosing the human advantage is really what decides who wins.
That has been a very insightful discussion. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Nicole and Mark. Hope you can both join us again soon.
Thank you so much for having us, Cez, and we're looking forward to continuing the conversation with our listeners out there.
Thank you so much, Cez. It was a great time, and thank you for the opportunity to present our view to all your viewers in Singapore.
Once again, those were Nicole Scopel-Williams, Global Future of Work Leader, and Mark Teo, Southeast Asia Human Capital Leader at Deloitte. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.